The message arrived without warning. It came from the Galactic Council, a vast alliance of alien empires that ruled half the known universe. Their ships patrolled the stars. Their words were law. Every species obeyed their commands. Everyone except one, humanity. The Council's message was not a request. It was an order that carried the weight of every world beneath their control. It spread through every communication network, carried by satellites and echoed across distant systems. Humans of Earth, the message began, you are charged with defiance. You are ordered to kneel before the Council and beg for forgiveness. If you remain silent, you will be erased from history. Across the galaxy, billions of aliens stopped to listen. They expected an answer and a cry for mercy, a plea for survival. But Earth did not respond. The silence stretched on. 1 hour, 2 hours, a full day, then another. The Council grew impatient. Their leaders gathered in the Great Hall of Orion, a shining city built inside a hollowed moon. Hundreds of alien delegates stood around a circular table made of crystal and starlight. In the center, a holographic image of Earth rotated slowly, small, fragile, and blue. They think they can ignore us? Hissed Chancellor Varun, his scaled hands trembling with anger. They have no fleet, no allies, no voice in the stars. They should be on their knees. A tall, gray-skinned envoy from the Voran Empire leaned forward. Perhaps they are afraid, he said coldly. Perhaps their silence is surrender. But another voice spoke up, soft, calm, and full of unease. No, said Councillor Tisar from the Elith Dominion. Her eyes glowed faintly as she stared at the hologram of Earth. Humans never stay silent without reason. Their silence is not fear. It is a warning, the others laughed. The hall echoed with sharp mocking voices. A warning. Varun sneered. Of what? Their primitive weapons, their rusted colonies. Earth is nothing but dust now. But even as he spoke, deep within the Saul system, something stirred. Far from Earth, hidden behind Jupiter's shadow, an old structure flickered to life. It was buried under layers of ice and rock, forgotten by time, erased from history. Inside its walls, machines that had slept for centuries began to awaken. Tiny red lights turned blue. Engines hummed. Energy pulsed through long-dead circuits. The structure was no mere outpost. It was a command center, one that had once coordinated fleets during the ancient human expansion wars. Its name was Saul Sentinel-1, and it had been silent for more than 300 years. Now, for the first time since the war ended, its systems reconnected. Across the blackness of space, faint signals were sent toward Mars, Luna, and the old Terran orbital stations. Each one carried a short, simple code. Wait. No one outside the solar system noticed. The Council's spies believed Earth was dead, its cities buried, its oceans empty. But beneath those oceans, under layers of pressure and silence, humanity's last network was alive, hidden, watching and patient. Back in the Council chamber, arguments turned into chaos. Send the fleet, shouted one of the generals. We will burn their world to ash. Not yet, said another. If they are truly extinct, why waste our ships? Let us make sure first. So the Council deployed hundreds of small reconnaissance drones toward the solar system, each one cloaked in light, invisible to the naked eye, programmed to scan and report back. When the first drone reached Earth, it transmitted static. The second vanished before it could send data. The third saw something, a shape massive and dark moving just beyond Neptune's orbit, before it too was destroyed. The Council's scientists examined the data. The fragment showed the edge of a ship, smooth black, covered in faint blue lines like veins of light. That is not one of ours, whispered an engineer, and it is far larger than any Council vessel. Varun's voice cracked. What are we looking at? The room was silent. No one had an answer. Then one of the data analysts looked up, her eyes wide. There is a message hidden in the signal, she said. Something human. Play it, said the Chancellor. The lights dimmed. The hologram flickered. Across the chamber, a sound filled the air. Sharp, rhythmic, ancient. It was Morse code. Most of the aliens did not understand it. But the translator quickly decoded the pattern. Only one word appeared on the screen. Wait, the Council fell silent. What does it mean? Someone asked. Councillor Tisar exhaled slowly. It means, she said quietly, that something is coming. Days passed. The galactic news networks began to mock Earth even more. Memes and broadcasts called it the planet of silence. Some said the humans had all died in their underground shelters. Others believed they had gone mad. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, among smugglers, mercenaries, and old war veterans, rumors began to spread. They said Terran technology had been hidden. They said human weapons could erase fleets without firing a shot. They said there were still old captains sleeping in cryo chambers waiting for a signal, and now that signal had come. Back in the Saul system, the old stations awoke one by one. Under the ice of Europa, machines carved tunnels toward the surface. Around the moon, invisible satellites shifted orbit, forming a massive ring. In the silence of space, a fleet began to take shape, slow, quiet, ancient. No one in the galaxy knew it yet, but humanity was not gone. It was watching. It was waiting, and soon, the stars themselves would remember why silence from Earth was never a sign of weakness. It was a sign of war. The Galactic Council could not explain what had happened to their scout drones. One by one, every signal they sent toward the Saul system vanished. No explosions, no distress calls, just nothing. It was as if the entire solar system had turned into a void that swallowed everything inside. The Council's war rooms were filled with noise and panic. Admirals shouted orders, scientists argued, and politicians blamed each other. The message from Earth, wait, had become a ghost that haunted them all. Chancellor Varun slammed his clawed hand on the table. Enough of this silence. If humanity will not respond, then we will force them to. Assemble the fleet. His command spread across the galaxy. Massive ships left their home systems, their engines glowing red against the darkness. The largest armada ever gathered began to move toward the Saul system. But not everyone agreed with the decision. Counselor Tsar stood at the edge of the command chamber, her eyes fixed on the stars outside the massive viewing window. You do not understand them, she said quietly. When humans are silent, they are not hiding. They are preparing. Varun turned toward her, his voice sharp. You fear a dead race? Their planet is dust. Their colonies are ruins. Their ships are scraps, Tsar did not answer. She only whispered to herself, then why does their silence feel so loud? In the far reaches of space near the edges of the Milky Way, a lone cargo ship picked up a strange signal. The crew were smugglers, half drunk, half brave, and they laughed when they saw the coordinates. Old Saul system, one of them said. Who'd go there? It's cursed. But curiosity won over fear. The captain, a scarred alien named Vexar, decided to follow the signal. As his ship entered the system, strange things began to happen. Instruments went dark. The crew heard static whispers over the comms like faint human voices from centuries ago. Then, the void lit up. Before them floated a massive structure, black as night, covered in glowing blue lines. It was not moving, not broadcasting any signal, but it felt alive. Vexar's engineer screamed, "That's Terran tech. Shut down everything, too late." The ship's systems froze. Every screen turned white. A message appeared in old human English. You were told to wait. When Vexar's ship returned days later, it drifted without power. No crew, no bodies, only a repeating message broadcast into the void. Dawnfire protocol initiated. Across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than light. Traders, mercenaries, even pirates spoke of strange sightings. Ghost ships with blue trails. Empty signals that carried human codes. Whole patrols vanishing near unexplored sectors. At first, the Council dismissed it all as rumors. But then one of their destroyers, fully armed, crewed by 30,000 soldiers, disappeared near the old human colonies. The Council received one final transmission before contact was lost. It was a voice, calm, human, and impossible. We told you not to come. Panic began to grow in the Council worlds. News channels replayed the message over and over. Old veterans who had once fought the human expansion wars trembled as they heard that voice again. The Council tried to silence the panic by releasing an official statement. The humans are extinct. The reports are false. The galaxy is safe. But behind closed doors, every admiral and scientist knew the truth. Something had awakened in the Saul system, and it was beyond their control. Tsar requested a private meeting with Varun. When she entered his chamber, he was already staring at the holographic image of Earth. You should have destroyed them completely, she said. Varun growled. We did. Their fleets were dust centuries ago. Their planet was dying. Tessar shook her head. Humans adapt. They always adapt. Their silence is not surrender. It is evolution, he scoffed. You speak of myths. What can they do now? Tessar looked at him with tired eyes. What they always do, survive. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Mars, lights flickered deep under the red surface. Metal doors opened, revealing enormous hangars filled with silent machines. Ships rested in rows coated in dust, their hulls engraved with a single emblem, the old Terran insignia. A voice echoed through the underground halls. It was mechanical yet human in tone. Dawnfire protocol active. Confirming command network link. Awakening command AI units. Hundreds of pods opened in sequence, revealing figures inside. Humans in old military uniforms, preserved in cryo-sleep. Their eyes opened one by one, reflecting the cold blue glow of the machines around them. One of them, Captain Mara Ilian, commander of the Terran dreadnought Erebus, took a slow breath after centuries of silence. Her voice was steady as she spoke into the empty air. Status? The AI responded. Council fleets are approaching. Estimated time to contact, 72 hours. She smiled faintly. So they still think silence means defeat. Outside, through the thin Martian atmosphere, hundreds of long-buried structures began to rise. Dust clouds covered the sky as old technology awakened. The Terran defense grid came online again, powered by reactors older than any living species. Back in the Council's main fleet, sensors picked up the activation of thousands of unknown signals in the Saul system. The readings were impossible. Energy outputs beyond any known scale, radiation signatures never seen before. A commander aboard the lead dreadnought looked up from his console in disbelief. It's like the entire system is waking up. Varun received the report in his flagship. He felt both fear and pride. Good, he said. Let them wake. They will kneel once they see our power. But somewhere deep inside, a part of him knew no one in the galaxy had ever won a war against a silent Earth. As the fleet crossed Neptune's orbit, a strange transmission played on every ship simultaneously. A woman's voice, soft and calm, filled the comms. You should have waited. Every system froze. The stars around them dimmed. Space itself seemed to twist, and from the darkness ahead, massive shapes began to emerge. Black ships with glowing veins of blue light, moving like ghosts through the void. Humanity had answered, and the storm had finally begun. The Galactic fleet crossed the edge of the solar system with unmatched confidence. Thousands of ships glowed in the darkness, their engines lighting up like a river of fire stretching across the stars. Each vessel was armed, shielded, and ready to burn Earth out of existence. Chancellor Varun stood aboard his flagship, the Sovereign Light, and gazed at the small blue dot on the holographic map. Soon, he said, this insolent world will finally kneel. Every commander nodded, but their eyes showed unease. The reports were clear. Something was happening in the Saul system. Invisible energy fields, vanished probes, strange transmissions that whispered old human words. None of it made sense. Still, orders were orders. They advanced. As the first wave entered Neptune's orbit, the entire fleet went silent. No sound, no signal, no motion. The stars themselves seemed to fade. Then, light. Not from the fleet, but from the darkness beyond it. One by one, enormous shapes emerged, their silhouettes blocking the distant sun. They were ships, but no one had ever seen vessels like these before. They had no markings, no insignias, no visible weapons. Their surfaces were smooth black metal, layered with faint lines of glowing blue. Identify those ships, barked Varun. The scanners returned static. Nothing matches, replied his technician, panic rising in his voice. Their hulls absorb our radar. It's like they're made of living metal. Another officer turned pale. Sir, we're detecting gravitational shifts around them. Each ship has the mass of a small moon. Varun's breath caught. Moon-class dreadnoughts? That's impossible. Then, as if to answer him, one of the dark ships moved. Slowly, gracefully, its engines did not burn. It simply glided through the void as if space itself obeyed it. The fleet's communication channels lit up with terrified voices. What are those things? They're surrounding us. Sir, they're locking targets. A new voice interrupted every transmission. Calm, steady, human. You demanded that Earth beg. The sound was unmistakably human, female, clear, and powerful. You forgot. Humanity never kneels. The first blast came without light. No visible weapon, no sound, just an instant disappearance. One Council battleship vanished from existence, gone as if it had never been there. Then another. Then 20 more. Panic erupted. The entire armada fired everything it had. Missiles, plasma cannons, radiation beams, but every shot dissolved before reaching the Terran ships. Their hulls shimmered with a strange blue field that rippled like water. Impossible, Varun shouted. They're absorbing the attacks. The human dreadnoughts responded with precision. Blue energy lines along their sides brightened, and a pulse spread outward, silent but devastating. Every Council ship within 10,000 kilometers shut down instantly. Engines died. Lights went dark. Gravity failed. Through shattered windows and flickering screens, alien commanders saw their ships being torn apart by invisible pressure. Whole cruisers folded like paper, fragments drifted into the dark, glowing faintly before fading away. The humans did not speak again. Their silence was louder than the explosions. On the bridge of the Terran dreadnought Erebus, Captain Mara Ilian stood with calm eyes. Around her, old humans worked their stations in perfect synchronization. No fear, no emotion. Only purpose. Fleet status? She asked. All units deployed, replied the AI. Enemy command vessel locked. Mara looked out at the massive formation of alien ships. For a moment, she remembered the stories her ancestors told. The humiliation of humanity's fall, the exile, the silence. End it, she said. The Erebus released its weapon, a pulse so vast that it bent the stars around it. For 10 seconds, the galaxy went white. When the light faded, half the galactic armada was gone. The rest drifted, burning or broken. The survivors screamed for retreat. Fall back now. But it was too late. The Terran ships moved again, faster this time, like predators among prey. Each ship fired invisible bursts that sliced through fleets like wind through smoke. No sound, no fire, just destruction. In minutes, the battle was over. Chancellor Varun's flagship, the Sovereign Light, was crippled. Its shields were gone, its weapons destroyed. The command deck filled with sparks and smoke. Send a surrender code, Varun yelled. Tell them we surrender. But before the message could transmit, the Terran dreadnought appeared before them, close enough to fill every screen. The holographic image of a human woman appeared on the bridge. Her face was calm, her eyes cold. We do not accept surrender. Varun trembled. What do you want? He shouted. Why are you doing this? The woman leaned forward slightly. You ordered us to beg. This is our answer. Then the transmission ended. The Terran dreadnought fired one final pulse. The flagship exploded silently, a wave of white fire sweeping across the dark. From the outer colonies to the distant nebulae, every world watched the live feed. Billions witnessed the fall of the Council's greatest fleet. News stations fell silent. No one dared to speak. The galaxy had just seen what humanity could do after centuries of silence. And on 1,000 worlds, people whispered the same words. They are back. Hours later, inside the command chamber of Erebus, Captain Mara stood before the viewing screen, watching the burning wreckage drift through space. Status of the enemy? She asked. 72% destroyed, the AI replied. The rest are in retreat, she nodded. Do not follow. The AI hesitated. Protocol recommends annihilation. Not today, Mara said. Let them remember. She turned to her crew. Silence all transmissions. We disappear again. The Terran fleet slowly faded from sight, their black hulls vanishing into the deep void. The stars returned to their natural brightness, as if nothing had happened. But everyone who had seen it, every survivor, every system knew the truth. Humanity had spoken through destruction, and their silence, once mocked by the galaxy, had now become its greatest terror. The galaxy had gone quiet, not the normal quiet of empty space, but a deeper kind of silence, one that carried fear in every frequency. The battle near Saul was over. The Galactic Council's greatest fleet had been destroyed, and humanity had vanished once more. No ships, no transmissions, no trace. Every world across the Council's territory watched the recorded footage in disbelief. Entire species gathered in silence before flickering holograms, seeing the impossible. Thousands of their ships erased in seconds with no warning, no negotiation, no mercy. The once proud rulers of the stars were now afraid of a single word. Earth. In the Council's central world, Orion Prime, the surviving members met in what remained of the Great Crystal Hall. Smoke still rose from the shattered ceiling. The chamber lights flickered weakly. A holographic map of the galaxy floated above them. Red marks showing their destroyed fleets, blue lights showing the few that still functioned. Entire sectors had gone dark. Communication relays refused to work near the Saul system. Chancellor Varun was dead. Half the admirals were missing. The remaining leaders stood in silence, unable to speak. Finally, Councillor Tisar broke the stillness. Her voice was calm, yet heavy with exhaustion. They could have finished us, but they did not. Another alien, a reptilian admiral, snarled. Do you call this mercy? They destroyed everything. Tisar shook her head. No, they sent a message. The others glared at her, confused. She pointed toward the hologram of Earth. They are reminding us that silence does not mean surrender. It means control. They are not gone. They are watching. Her words sent a cold shiver through the room. No one argued. Days turned into weeks. The Council sent scout drones into the Saul system, hoping to learn what had happened after the battle. None returned. The few signals that came back were scrambled, distorted images of enormous black structures orbiting the sun, moving like shadows in the light. No one knew what they were. Some believed they were Terran defense stations. Others said they were the remains of machines too advanced to understand. In secret, the Council began to discuss evacuation plans. If Earth ever decides to strike again, said one of the surviving generals, we must have a plan to hide. To survive, hide where? Asked another. There is no place in the stars they cannot reach. The thought itself was terrifying. For centuries, the galaxy had believed humanity was weak, an extinct species of reckless dreamers who had destroyed themselves in their hunger for power. Now it realized the truth. Humanity had not perished. They had simply waited for the right moment to return, and that silence, that waiting, had become their most powerful weapon. On the outer edges of the galaxy, where no council laws reached, smugglers and wanderers began to tell stories. They spoke of black ships appearing in deep space, scanning wrecks, then vanishing. Some said the humans were rebuilding quietly, preparing for something greater. Others believed they were protecting the galaxy from something worse, something beyond the known stars. One pilot claimed he had seen it himself, a human fleet gliding silently past a dying world, their hulls glowing faint blue, their engines whispering like ghosts. They did not attack, the pilot said. They just watched, and then they were gone. No one believed him, yet no one laughed. Back on Earth, the world slept under quiet skies. The cities were buried under layers of defense grids and hidden bunkers. Humanity had changed. They no longer lived for expansion or conquest. They lived for balance, for preparation. Deep below the surface, in the command halls of the Terran Defense Network, Captain Mara Ilian stood once again before a massive screen. The galaxy map glowed red with panic, blue with silence. Status? She asked. Enemy fleets destroyed, replied the AI. Council forces in disarray. Communication intercepts indicate widespread fear. Mara looked at the hologram of the galaxy, her eyes distant. Good, let them fear. But no more killing. Do you wish to establish communication? The AI asked. She hesitated. Her hands clenched slowly. No, she said at last. Let them remember us this way. In the centuries that followed, no one ever saw a human again. The Council rebuilt, but it was never the same. Every decision they made, every treaty, every law was done under the shadow of Earth's silence. No one dared to approach the Saul system. The area became known as the Forbidden Zone. Any ship that entered never returned. It became a legend, a warning, a ghost story told to young pilots before their first flight. Do not go near the blue planet, they said. It listens. It remembers. But legends have a way of growing. Years later, deep in the archives of the Council, a transmission appeared without origin. It had no source, no timestamp, no sender. Only one line of text in Old Human English. We asked for peace once. You wanted us to beg. Now we ask for nothing. The Council debated whether it was real or an echo from the past, but when they tried to trace it, all their systems shut down for 13 seconds. Every ship, every world, every AI frozen in total silence. And in that stillness, across every star in the galaxy, a strange feeling spread, like someone was watching, listening, waiting again. On the cold surface of the moon, within a sealed Terran vault, a small red light blinked for the first time in centuries. The chamber doors opened, releasing a faint breath of air into the darkness. Inside, an ancient console displayed the same message sent to the Council. A single human figure, preserved in stasis, opened his eyes. His gaze was calm, patient, and unafraid. Status galaxy restored. Threat contained. He looked up at the stars, now distant and peaceful. "Then it is time to sleep again," he whispered. The vault closed. The lights faded, and once more Earth fell silent. But throughout the galaxy, no one dared to call that silence peace. It was not peace, it was reminder that when the stars forget who ruled them first, Earth will answer again.